Hi, I'm Tony from the Marathon Mates. On this episode, we are being joined by Dale Q. Now, Dale has just returned from the Shanghai Marathon, which was just run just a couple of days ago. Dale's going to give us the lowdown on everything there is to know about about this Abbott's World Major Candidate race, and it's probably for the first time in Australia with such an in-depth review of the Shanghai Marathon, from the expo to the accommodation options, on-course experience, water stations, you name it. We've got it covered. Are you ready to run? Let's go.
Welcome to the thrilling world of the flying runner, brought to you by the Marathon Mates.
Hey there, everyone. Welcome to episode 75 of the Flying Runner podcast. Tonight, we are joined by Dale Q. Dale joins us after running the Shanghai Marathon just a few days ago in China. And on this episode, we're going to get to know Dale as well as hear firsthand how the Shanghai Marathon stacks up against other world majors. We will have all the information that you're all chasing, that we all want to hear. What is Shanghai going to be a future world marathon major event? But before we go on any further, welcome, Dale. Thanks for coming on the show. I can only imagine the race was like 2 days ago. You are a little bit fatigued. How are you? How are you feeling?
No, I actually feel better than ever. I think good recover. Good return to the Aussie land. Yes, I love the warm weather. Not during the run though.
Excellent.
Was it cold there, Dale? How cold was it in Shanghai?
It's surprisingly the last time I went Shanghai, I remember it's close to zero, but this time along the race, it's actually around 10 degrees. So I'm surprised. It's usually quite warm for Shanghai winter weather,
So about
especially Thursday winter.
50 Fahrenheit for our US friends.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've already heard their names, their voices. Sorry, I'm joined by my marathon mates, Tara and Tim. Unfortunately, Lucia has a work Christmas party to go to, so she will not be joining us tonight. But Tim and Tara, how's your running been this past week?
Yeah, good. I don't think we've had much running, in all honesty. We did park run on Saturday. Where did we go?
In the wet.
Oh, Bunyaville. Yeah, home park run. So it's always fun to do Bunyaville in the wet because there's the creek crossing and there's lots of puddles to play in. And being a trail, it's a little bit more fun. So we did that. Sunday we didn't actually have a run because we had some people over for lunch that maybe the marathon mates. So Tony joined us for lunch on Sunday. So we didn't actually run on Sunday. But I think you've been taking it pretty easy this week. I've just done a few reformer Pilates. I ran 2 Pilates and then back again yesterday and then decided that was stupid because it was 34 degrees. And when you're doing Pilates at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it's really not a good idea. So I won't be doing that again.
Yeah, no, I'm just I'm putting the legs up for a little while. I think I said that December's going to be an easy month. I'm putting some weight back on. I'm relaxing the discipline belt a little bit that you have when you're in training all the time, and put a bit of weight on, enjoy life, have a few drinks, enjoy some food, do all those sort of things that you don't always get to do when you're in the full training, which we've been for about 2 or 3 years consistently. So we'll have a pretty quiet month of December, and then we'll start to get back into it again properly in January.
And you had a pretty big milestone during the week as well, did you?
Yeah, I had a birthday. I turned 50. So can you believe this young-looking face is actually 50 years old? There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so milestone there. But I want to give an update as well. Last week we talked about the amazing Jen Kellett Jennifer Keller, episode 33, if you haven't listened to Jen's story. I mentioned last week that she was looking to get her world record ratified for the 50K race at GC50, where she ran a time that appeared to be 2.5 minutes quicker than the women's 65 to 69 years age group world record. It turns out that there was an issue with timing, and there's a 5-minute discrepancy in the time. So she missed the world record by 2.5 minutes, but she's still the Australian record holder. She still set that at the event. But what it does do is it sets her up next year for the 70-year plus age category. And she understands now all the requirements you've got to go through. So firstly, it's got to be a ratified course, which GC50 is, but on top of that, there's drug testing and other things that she needs to get involved in and organise. So watch out come November next year, because she will set the world record in the 70 years age category for 50 kilometres, guaranteed.
So close, so close.
I back it. I think the word from her, Tara, was she was confident that she would have done that 2.5 minutes if she knew that that was where the world record was, I think.
Yeah, she said she finished very easily at the end and had more in the tank. So she was going on the time that she thought she was going to be on. So she said she actually had a lot more in the tank and could have run a lot faster. So
excellent.
Which is pretty amazing in that heat.
Yeah.
We also all signed up for the Gold Coast Marathon on Monday. Now,
And Dale's done too, by the sound of it. Dale, you signed up as well?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. So Dale will understand the frustration. Gold Coast is usually pretty good with their website, and
It's entries, yeah.
And its entries. It doesn't crash. Friday, we actually did the Black Friday sale for the 5K race, so we managed to sign up for that. Simple as, done and dusted, nice and easy. Entries went on sale at 9 o'clock on Monday morning, Brisbane time. And I think everybody that wanted to enter hit the website at that time. And unfortunately, it kept crashing. So I had actually entered all of my marathon. So for a bit of a background, Tim and I are doing what Tim calls the quaddie. So that'll be the 5K, the 10K and the half marathon on the Saturday, and then we're going to do the full marathon on the Sunday. So to do that, I had to fill out 7 entries because our son is also doing the marathon. So doing the 7 entries, I think my time limit cut out, and because of the slowness of the website, went to enter my credit cards and it kicked me out. Had to start all over again. So an hour and a half later, I managed to sign up for 7 races. It was what it took me. Yeah.
Unbelievable. It took me 25 minutes to just register Sharon and I for the marathon. And Dale, how long did it take you?
I'm actually the lucky one. I had an experience with the Melbourne just last week. So I know to get in early for my Gold Coast. So it was actually quite smooth for the Gold Coast this one.
Okay.
You must be the only person I know that has said that.
And which races are you doing, Dale? Are you doing the half or the full or multiple races?
I only just do the Gold Coast full marathon.
The marathon.
I like it. Now we're up to just fulls, Tony. Full. Yeah.
We're the clever ones, Dale. We're the clever ones. So, all right. So
come and join us on the quaddie, Dale. It's not too much.
Well, unfortunately, if you wanted to do the quaddie, you can't, because the half marathon sold out on the first day. And the marathon is now on the second day of entries. Where at time of recording this, it was 85% sold.
Yeah.
So
whatever that looks like.
Yeah. I don't know how many 85. I think.
Yeah. By the time people listen to this episode from Friday when we release it,
it's probably going to be
sold out.
Gold Coast will be sold out. Yep. All right. So apart from Gold Coast, let's have a look at some of the news. Over to you, Tim.
All right. Thanks, Tony. So what's been happening this week? We've had the Valencia Marathon, the unofficial major marathon that is out there. Generally one of the fastest races in the world. It's the one where Kelvin Kipton announced himself on the scene a couple of years ago, running super fast in his very first debut marathon. So in the men's marathon, we saw Sebastian Sawe from Kenya run 2:02:05 in his very first marathon ever.
Unbelievable.
That is ridiculous. 2:02:05. I think it's the 5th fastest time of all time, and he's run it in his debut marathon. He's still a young guy, so they reckon it's very Kelvin Kipton-like. In second place, Deriza Gilletta from Ethiopia ran in 2:02:38. And in third place was Daniel Matayika from Kenya, who ran in 2:04:24. Of note, there was Andy Buchanan from Australia, who now is the owner of the Australian and Oceania marathon record, running a time of 2:06:22. So he's the first Australian to go under 2:07 for the marathon, and overall he finished 16th overall. And from all media reports I've seen, he was over the moon with that result.
And he only signed with ASICS about a month ago, if that, as one of their athletes. And haven't they already got great value out of Andy? And what a year he had. Like, he wasn't running in the Olympics, and then Brett Robinson, the previous Australian world record holder, had to pull out because of injury. Andy gets a chance, and it seems to have lifted his confidence and belief in himself.
Yeah.
We saw him win the half at Melbourne just recently, and then he's just smashed Valencia.
Yeah, and he paced He paced the first 10Ks at Sydney Marathon with the elites as well. So
unbelievable.
He's all over the place, and he's doing really well. And 2:06:22 is phenomenal. I think looking at the Americans, I think there's only 3 Americans that have got quicker times than that in the history of it. So he's up there. He's up there with some of these big names. So in the women's, we saw Megatu Alamo from Ethiopia run a time of 2:16:49, which about 12 months ago would have been pretty much a pretty good time for a women's event, probably one of the fastest times in the world, but no longer. Stella Chesang from Uganda ran in 2:18:26, and Tyru Mesfin from Ethiopia ran it in 2:18:35. Of note there, Aussie Izzy Bat-Doyle ran the 3rd fastest ever time by an Australian woman with a PB of 2 hours, 22 minutes and 59 seconds. So,
and she was in the top 10. She was 6th or 8th, if I remember rightly. So well done, Izzy.
So, well done to her. Now I'm going to just quickly go through some stats with Valencia. This is how quick it is. It's the first time ever where the top 10 male finishers have all run a time of sub 2:05. So it just shows the world is getting quicker in marathons. In total, there were 28,493 runners in total. And I know you can see the run sheet, Tony, so I'm not going to ask you, but Dale, how many people do you reckon ran sub 3 hours in Valencia?
Oh, geez, I know the number has rocketed, but I don't know.
5,090 runners out of the 28,000 runners were sub 2 hours, 59, or sub 3 hours. If you finished with a time of exactly 3 hours, 00:00, you were somewhere between 5,090 and 5,103. So there were 23 people who ran a time of 3 hours even.
Wow.
And I think 22 of those people would be extremely disappointed they didn't run 1 second faster. And one of those persons is probably the pacer for the 3 hour pace. He's probably patting himself on the back going, job done.
Job done. Absolutely.
Yeah, so Valencia is one of those ones that one day I wouldn't mind getting to. It is a bucket list event. It's a big event. It is an unofficial major event. And it seems to be quick. It seems to be a really quick course that everyone goes to.
So does that mean if I go there, I'll run faster?
More than likely.
Possibly. Yep. Some other news.
So this week they launched a new global marathon series, and this one's interesting. It's called Run Fest. It's got the backing of Eliud Kipchoge, who is an ambassador for them. As I said, it's been launched this week as a global running series. There's not a lot of information on the series, just a fancy website. It promises to be the ultimate marathon series for runners, with a series of marathons in vibrant cities in Asia and around the world. But there is no mention of which races are in the series, or how many races there will be, or when the races will be held. So there's a lot of promises, but there's not a lot of information. So I think it's just one to watch and wait for. I don't know what the ultimate aim is for it. I know they've got Kipchoge there, so what that means, I don't know. How that relates to the Abbotts, if it's going to be a spin-off from the Abbott series, I don't know. It's a different one.
Yeah, it's interesting. They seem to have a pretty major process there about really getting into the Asian market. So it'll be interesting. And it'll be interesting in my mind, and we'll hear about Shanghai in a second, but it'll be interesting if Shanghai's fast-tracked and to combat the potential threat that this Globe Runfest may have. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting because when you look at the website, they're actually calling out to race organisers who organise races to get involved. So it seems like they're not targeting any particular races. They want races to come to them. So I don't know what it's going to mean, whether it's going to be sort of an average sort of a thing or whether it's going to be a real top-notch thing. But it'll be a wait and see, I think. We'll just wait and see. Now, the last bit of news I've got for this evening is a little while ago I mentioned that the 2014 Boston Marathon winner, Bushnushe Deba from Ethiopia, I think she came second, but the winner was deemed to be a drug cheat a couple of years later. So she got promoted to the winning place but never received the prize money. Well, the BAA, the Boston Athletic Association, has now come out saying that from January 2025, they'll begin issuing voluntary payments, whatever that means, to athletes whose results were re-ranked due to disqualifications. And they're going to backdate this back to 1986, which is the year that prize money was first introduced. So Jack Fleming, who's the BAA president and CEO, said in a press release, "Our initiative," I'll put that in exclamation marks, "aims to ensure that clean athletes are compensated appropriately. While the process to reclaim and redistribute prize money has been challenging, it remains essential to uphold fair competition." So it's a bit of a shame. It's taken 10 years for this poor lady to get what she's entitled to, which is the prize money. It's fantastic news that she's finally going to get it. It took somebody who was a member of the public to actually pay the difference to her in the prize money she was owed. And that was a press release that came out last year. But I can also understand from an organiser's point of view, how much money do they keep aside for future claims against drug cheats?
Yeah.
Because it's unlikely they're ever going to get the money back from the drug cheats anyway. They can take them to court, but the money's already gone. It's already been spent. It'll be transferred into other people's names. So if they have to keep prize money in reserve, somebody's got to pay for it, and it's either us, the runners, or it's the sponsors. So it's an interesting one. I can understand why they've taken so long, but I think they've taken, when they says it's his initiative or the BAA's initiative, it's only come because there's been a lot of public campaigning for her to get that prize money. So if there wasn't that public pressure, they probably wouldn't have done it.
Agreed.
Yep. And that's the news this week.
Well, you did miss one bit of news, Tim, and that Sifan Hassan was crowned the Global Female Athlete of the Year. But so that's a nice piece of news. And as you know, I think she's one of the greatest runners out there, and she had an amazing year. So,
I'll give her credit for that. She did have a great year.
Yeah. And once again, thanks, Tim. Great segment of news. Now, the reason why I mentioned Shanghai being fast-tracked is because not one race in their first year of candidacy has ever passed the criteria. So it's going to be interesting, and, I can't wait to hear from Dale in a sec, whether Shanghai bucks the trend. Right, so it's going to be very, very interesting, especially with Global Run Fest. But let's focus now on our guest for the week, which is, of course, Dale Q. As we said, Dale, earlier, He's literally just landed back from Shanghai, and the first thing he does is jump on the Flying Runner podcast. So I think that's pretty absolutely amazing, Dale. But before we jump into Shanghai, let's just hear a little bit about yourself, shall we? So first up, when did you get into running and why?
Well, get into running. I think the first for Brisbane born runner, I think our first run will always be Bridge to Brisbane. So back in 2010, that was my first 10K. I remember I struggled. I still Facebook remind me every time during the Bridge to Brisbane time was I post me running the first 10K on the treadmill. I was like so over myself, and ever since I started running, my first marathon is actually 2016, which we mentioned Gold Coast, and since that, of course, all the major has attracted me, and yeah, this has been an amazing journey. Especially this year, I have run 5 marathons this year myself, and
Wow.
it has been a very incredible journey.
Wow. So, Dale, if you've run 5 marathons this year and you started in 2016, how many have you run altogether then before Shanghai?
Well, COVID time, we sort of those 3 years that we sort of taken away. I haven't been doing much run during those time. I'll say still shy of 20
Okay.
marathons, so it's not a big run. But this year, I set a goal at the start of the year. I said I'm gonna break 310, but unfortunately, I didn't achieve this goal. I thought I was gonna do it in Shanghai, but it's a bit unfortunate.
It's still pretty amazing to have done 5 marathons. It looks like you're making up for some lost time during COVID times, that's for sure.
Yes, and Dale, what drew your attention to Shanghai and doing the marathon in Shanghai?
So, well, first of all, thank you for having me here. And Shanghai, it's never been on my radar to run a marathon in China. Basically, we see the news. It's always hard, the language barrier, the currency, and it's pretty much just a country pretty hard for us to get to. And particular, the Shanghai Marathon is not that friendly. So the Shanghai Marathon opens to public to the ballot start about October for this 1st of December race. They announce in November, which pretty much give you 3 weeks to prepare for your marathon.
Wow.
Which every year they are sold out. This is what I heard. This year is my first year, and I got in. Apparently, they say they set a few aside for our overseas runners. So that's why I got lucky. For the entry point of view, I think it was extremely difficult for us, the Aussies, to try to get into the race. First of all, obviously the ballot, the timing, book accommodation, and all the logistic. What is hard, for us to get into is actually when you pay. When I actually got the news saying, "Hey, you are in Shanghai Marathon," the first thing you do is, yes, you need to pay, but they give you 4 options. Which one? First one is Union Pay. I have a credit card, but not Union Pay.
Yep.
Another one is Alipay, which I have no idea how to use that. The third one is WeChat, and again, I have no idea. The fourth one is another way of Chinese using this paying method. So this big goal for the first 2 days, I couldn't do anything, and time is running out. And I quickly called my one of my Chinese friends to say, "Hey, can you help me out? How do I sort out this?" He said, if you can, you download the Alipay that can actually bound with your credit card to make that happen." So I have to send me a tutorial and actually follow through. Okay. So that way it charged me another 3% on top of the transition rate, and I finally got my entry. But that paying method, it's really tough.
Yeah.
It's a bit different. Yeah. And with the registration, Dale, so you register for your interest in October, you get notified 3 weeks beforehand you're in.
Yeah.
How is the registration done? Is it all in Chinese, or is there English versions of it as well?
They do have an English version, but you will be very surprised. It's 2023. So they used last year's things, and which the course has been changed a little bit, which got my head out a little. And everything done through quite a little bit broken, the website. I'm sure they're gonna fix it, because in China, the 3 days I spent there, they don't use website. Everything was done through their beloved Alipay or WeChat. Every single thing was done into that platform. Every single store that you go into, you have to pay through that app. So with no surprise, it will take us a long time to get used to. However, once you get used to, wow, this is an amazing event. The technology is superb. Once you get into, we all remember we're going into the majors. In order for security, they put a wristband on you and make sure you don't take it off for the entire 3 days. Whenever you go to the expo. In China, they do it differently. They scan your face. So once your face is scanned, you're locked in. So every entry point is they use your face as a recognition.
Oh, wow.
So you go in there first thing. So sign up for Shanghai Marathon. You sign your identity away. So,
Your identity, yeah.
Wow.
So basically, going to expo, you're using your face to get in. Going to the course, you're using your face, and pretty much everything was face recognition.
Wow. Now, Dale, did I hear you say you've run all the majors, or?
No, I have 2 more to go.
Okay.
So,
So which ones are they?
Boston and London was the 2 that left.
Gotcha. So apart from Shanghai, what has been your favorite race up to now?
Tokyo probably was one of my favorite, and I think we discussed this slightly earlier with Tony. Was the year I ran New York was there 2017, where they had a terrorist attack. So that year was a bit of disappointing because the crowd was not as big. Every single side road was actually being closed with a garbage truck parked aside to stop any car runs into the track. So that was a bit disappointing.
Yeah,
So
it would have
Tokyo.
been. Yeah. So what about Tokyo? Was that just because of the course, or?
The course was great, and I guess the way they organize it, how they utilize the underground as the tunnel to get into my particular barrel. I was quite amazed. It wasn't cold. The day I ran was like 2 degrees, and lucky I have those tunnels. I'll be freezed to death.
So that was a pre-COVID year that you did that? Was that before COVID, or?
Tokyo was actually this year.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay. Same as Tony.
Excellent.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Cool.
yeah,
So
Tokyo this year was good.
Yeah. With Shanghai, tell me about your race. So when you landed there, did you have to organise all your own accommodation and everything like that? And
I pre-organized
it hard to do? Yeah.
It is quite difficult. So I guess for all your brilliant 6-star achiever, it is great to include, I guess, some sort of travel into your marathon, and I love that. And ever since I got into this, I got into organize this thing myself. And the Chinese way is really different. As I usually use the Qantas booking hotels, and a lot of hotel doesn't even show. But surprisingly, when all over the world, we seems to have a bit of inflation. But in China, they actually deflate. So the accommodation is surprisingly cheap over there. A 5-star hotel like Shangri-La, you're looking just slightly over 200 Australian dollar, and that's on the marathon day. So which I was pretty amazed.
Yeah, and is I guess just accommodation wise, while we're talking accommodation, is it close to the start line and the finish area, or is it you have to catch public transport?
So they don't have the same finish line and start point. So I've been told with one of my friends to say book something in the middle, and I booked a place. It's quite in the middle of the geography, and take me probably 10 minutes on the subway to get to the Star Line. From coming back, like 15 minutes from the subway, which is actually a very smart way that we're doing it.
Is it an easy subway to maneuver and use and everything? Yeah.
If not one of the best in I have experience. Yeah, so it's actually quite easy to understand, and if you understand the navigation. So just for your information, Google anything doesn't work there.
Oh.
So forget about Google, forgot about all this. I have re-educated myself before I go. I was like chop my arm off. I have been flying international trip. I have not seen anything like this. Like I can't use Google. I can't use Facebook. I can't use all the credit cards.
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah. You are cut off, and
Yeah,
in a new world, I guess, once you're there.
Exactly. So there are some ways that VPN that you can use to bypass it, but which is not recommended by the government.
All right. Now we all love a good expo. So the first thing you do when you land, and generally you try to get to the expo as early as possible. So can you tell us, Dale, a little bit about the expo experience in Shanghai? Was it as good as some of the majors you've been to? Was it better? Was it worse?
So we talk about the worst things already, which is the logistic to get there. But once you get to the expo, this is where the fun part actually begins. Nike was their sponsor, and with the technology, it has blown me away. The marketing, the expo itself is the brand there are so many brands that I have never even seen. And when you get in, it's all the LED, all the lights, just wow, you treat you like a superstar walking on the concert. I feel like I'm on the stage, and this is really wow effect. And when you get in, the shirt I'm wearing is actually got on the date when you enter the expo. They have different store for different sizes, and you enter the sizes that you're in. Once you get your sizes, then you go into get your other race pack. To be honest, the race pack itself is probably one of the best that we have. This is actually the drop off, and you get. I think I get a finished towel. I get the 2 shirts. I even get a thongs from finishing the race. It was quite amazing. The entire thing was blowing me away. What you can experience in Expo is it's literally you can spend a good half a day there and try different, and they give you freebies almost every store. But all you have to do is to sign your identity away to the store, which WeChat I never use. So I just keep scanning and get my freebies.
So every stall did the face technology thing, facial recognition.
No, so the facial recognition is from the organizer, but for every store, if you're thinking the WeChat it's your identity. If there's only one Facebook and you're using the WeChat to actually signing for their VIP. So you are actually literally signing every store for their VIP, and they probably bombarded me with all the messages, but after I landed back, I pretty much kind of deleted it.
All right. So before we log into and start talking about race day, how did you go? You were chasing 3:10. What was your time, and how did you feel about your race?
So on my Garmin watch says 3:16. I finished, but the race actually tracked slightly longer. So the race time actually had sub 3:19, I think. Was the result. So I don't know where the extra time that I spent probably, but no, I didn't achieve the result that I was coming for, which is a bit very disappointed. But honestly, on the Strava still shows I got a PB, so I'm happy with that.
Yeah, absolutely. If it's on Strava, it's true. So as we all know, so let's talk about the organisation of the event on the day. And you've talked through a couple of things that they're very organised. It's It's very wow. So tell us about the event on the day. How easy was it to get to the start area? What was the hydration on course like? Was it well organized or was it a shambles?
So to get in the start line was quite organized. I think one of the things I love about Tokyo is they have this information person, like the volunteer everywhere, and similar to China, they speak the lack of English. They seems to very quite easy. It's only A, B, C, or D. 38,000 was the runners that on the course on the day.
Wow.
We did give them a time that on the start time, and I don't think they organized the barrel was actually waste your time. So even with the start zone D, I actually running with a lot of runners that's faster than me, and a lot of them are very slow than me. Is put it in A and B, which they start early. They seem to like this mix to actually to get the entire race go faster. However, I feel the first 15K I'm actually sneaking through. So that maybe is my extra, 1K coming from is sneaking through between people. But from that part of the starting line experience was, I have to add on top because earlier the German Berlin this year, they low too many runners on the course, which was a major disappointment. So in my mind, this is gonna be like Berlin. So I push myself really, really hard on trying to break through all the crowd at the start line. But seems to be like right around 20K. It seems to be there's plenty of space. It's sort of once you get into get over those big crowd, the race seems to run quite smoothly, and it was quite amazing to see a lot of runners will have the same issue. They just like I met one person that he has been running in the zone D for 4 years consistently. He was a sub 2 minutes 50. He got sponsored to run the course, and he's had no idea why they always put him in D.
Wow.
So and then
that's interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So right to the end, he still finished. So by the way, if you finish sub 3 before sub 3, all the sub 3 runner, you'll get a special coat. So that was what everyone was chasing.
And I guess if you start in zone D and you're a fast runner, you can't sneak up into zone A because of the facial recognition. You'd get
that's correct. That's correct.
You get a computer says no, you can't go. So that's
so,
tough. I don't know how you beat the system.
No, just be the luck.
And on course, so you had hydration stations, every 2-3 kilometers or so?
Same as all the majors. So every 5K, they have the hydration, and I think they have one, make that one. So like 7Ks or 2K after, they have one if you miss the one before. 25K has a gel and plenty of bananas. And by the way, banana seems to be very luxurious in the Chinese diet. They seem to think to say this is imported banana.
They're gold for Tara too. Tara loves a banana at 30 kilometers.
Absolutely. Bananas are the best things ever to eat at about 30 Ks, 25 to 30 Ks. Favorite food.
Yeah,
so,
and I should have some banana. So I've been buying so before the race, they say they have this technology. You have to drink the pre-race formula every 5K. They have this gel, and they have all this scientific formula. I've been sold in the expo. I said, okay, I'll buy one and then let's try it out. They say if you break your record, this thing is free.
Wow!
Oh, wow!
So you tried something new on race day?
Yes, and which is a mistake. Rookie error. Yeah, but I have to say this. So I pushed the things really, really far. So I only landed a day before. My luggage didn't land it. If this big, I fly business class, so I have to buy entire outfit the day before my race. So
Oh,
I
wow.
shop every single thing in the expo, but my luggage does arrive 12 a.m. in that morning, and the only thing I swap over is the shoes. I bought a new shoes. I was like, nah, I probably still run with my old shoes,
Mm.
probably a bit better.
Wow.
So this is a bit unfortunate, but I do have all the new gears to run with.
Mm.
Wow, I'm pretty impressed with that because that's something that I would not do. So I would have been panicking and stressed. So with you said that was 38,000, is that right, on course?
That's
How was
correct.
the crowd support?
Amazingly good. I was always think the Chinese crowd, it's like they yell out different languages. So I suppose there must be some other races just trying to promote this into an international race. Of course, it's going to be hard. The way they organize it, we only have 3 weeks to sort out all your organization. But the crowd still, they organize different Chinese instruments along the way, so you can hear the Chinese. And the way they organize the race is they start with the barn, the temple, all these big famous points in Shanghai. Literally, those roads, like the Nanjing East Road, which literally I have a photo of that in the same night was packed with people. That road has never been closed. Thinking about Queen Street, but times 20. So it is amazing crowd, and then they close the road just for the race. So all the famous attraction that actually led you to run on, which is an experience by itself. And I can see people, I'm almost gonna stop over to take my phone, if not because I'm chasing my. It's a lot.
So is it a fairly flat course as well when you're running, or is it hilly?
Very flat. So
good. Yep.
Yeah, it is definitely flatter than Boston and New York. Much because I did run Berlin, so my time is literally the same as my Berlin time. So
Okay.
Yep.
So dead flat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unlike what's on Tony's shirt, where it shows there's a hill in there.
Yeah, apparently there's a hill at Berlin. I think we all missed it. So,
and I guess the other thing, when you've got all those runners, did you have plenty of room on the course to be able to maneuver? Obviously, as you said, for the first 20Ks, it was a bit tight, but it obviously eased up quite a bit. So you went on narrow roads, or were you on fairly narrow roads?
It's actually quite spacey. They also introduced the technology whereas Berlin do, which for all the runner to remember is actually the blue lines. So how you run a blue line is actually the shortest track. So you can see certain blue lines that appears on the course. If there is 2-row merge, there is a way that you can go through. However, I don't see a major difference on those roads. Once you get past the crowd, I think it's all pretty smooth run. To all the way to the finish line, and the finish standing was in the big sports stadium, which is amazing way of finish. The crowd control that the Chinese have is literally the next level. So I thought we'll be finished. This is the stadium that we finish. No, it's actually they crowd control you in that stadium because there's 6 other stadiums that you go through to ease the crowd. So in the first stadium, you get a finish pack. You get your second stadium, you get your, which is the badge. It's pretty cool the way they hand it. It's actually like they give you this.
Nice.
And then the third, they will offer you a finish shirt, and they give you a thong. I was like, why you give me a thong for? Which is a Abbott thong.
pretty
good. So they give you a thong. I was like, why did they give this thong for?
For our North American listeners, we're talking about shoes, not underwear.
Oh yes.
Slides or
thongs.
Jangle for New Zealand listeners.
So and the reason for that is they have ice bath that you can get into, and the way they do it is pretty hygiene. They have, just for the legs. So you can actually put a plastic bag along your legs, and you can have the ice on your on your legs for that. In that stadium, and I'm pretty sure that stadium is where they play the badminton. And there's plenty of rows set up for all the marathoner. Ladies and men are different, so you don't have to sit with one another. And when you finish, of course, you can wear the thongs. And once you get to the other stadium, you can choose if you want to have a shower or not. And they give you a pack that if you want to have a shower, they give you already have the finished towel, and they also give you a shower shampoo and body wash. So I was amazed. I was never seen a marathon can be treated this way. You can literally spend another half day just to do recover. Of course, they have the volunteer to do the massage. I didn't get to spend the massage time. I just want to get home afterwards.
Wow.
That is just awesome, isn't it? To hear that an event gives ice baths where you can get plastic sleeves to put over your legs so you can sit in the bath with up to your legs without affecting others. You can get showers and all the shower facilities provided. That is awesome. So
Yeah.
I guess the other thing we get really interested in as runners, Dale, is the state of porta potties or portaloos. What were there sufficient quantity of them in the start area and out on course? And what are the differences, I guess? Are they Western or Eastern style or a combination of both?
I didn't use any of that, to be honest. I try to get before I go into the start line, I pretty much make sure I don't have anything. I don't need to use the emergency, but I do. It's the usual start line. If not, they did put quite a lot of portaloo along the side, and it's like all the map hood. You don't go to the first one because all the runner we see the first one. Oh, the nerves kicks in. I have to go to that one, and the line start packing up. If you keep walking towards the end, the line getting smaller and smaller. I'm pretty sure just along the start line, you can pretty much just get into any of them. Which again, I have to a big tap on their shoulder of organize how the amount of people in such short amount of time and be able to make people go through this so quickly.
Wow.
Very organized from the sounds of it.
Yeah, well, I guess I guess they used to see so many people. They used to be how to organize these people, and for me, I was thinking to come into the race was a bit like surely they can't have this way of organize. How can you make sure people? Usually for the majors, when they finish, you don't get the finish expo. There's another expo. At the finish line, which is all the banks they're trying to sign you off for their credit cards and stuff, or their point of credit cards, and they offer you freebies and all this in the expo just before you do your exit. And they do have, because the facial recognition technology, so only runners are able to get into that part. So I was pretty amazed. It's they don't need to worry about all this like terrorist attack or things kind of odds happening.
Wow.
Was it easy to maneuver when you were around there? Was there a lot of English-speaking people, or was it you sort of just had to half interpret what was going on? Or
lucky, I do understand a bit of Mandarin, so it wasn't a major issue for myself. However, they do have some university volunteer, which is currently they are the best university in Shanghai and doing the volunteer. So English level, I think they're okay to communicate. But if you're trying to talk about your experience or making any complaints, I don't think those volunteers able to help you much.
Yeah, it just makes me wonder when you were saying there's no Google. It's like Google Translate when I was in Tokyo was like my best friend. It was like, yep, I could have a really good conversation with somebody, or I could read everything, had no issues. So even though in Tokyo there's a good amount of English-speaking people, I'm like, oh, am I going to have to learn some Mandarin before I go to Shanghai from the sounds of it?
No, so we just need to adopt the Chinese apps.
Yeah.
they do have the translate app that's different, which I did use sometimes to translate.
Yeah.
And without Google, just Google. you don't understand how much Google has sunk into our life. Like I saved all my travel document in Google Drive. I'm probably rookie era to China. Google Drive not accessible.
And on the surface, it would appear that that's probably China's biggest challenge. There's nothing on Facebook outside of what you see from Abbott. Their website is really hard to find on Google. It's just that. How do they get? It's a big event with, I'm presuming, predominantly Chinese runners. What happens when they get this influx of international people wanting to do it? That's going to be a real challenge for them.
Yes, I think this is the only thing that stopped them to become the major, because from the runner perspective, they have done everything right, and the event organization, the crowd control, all the things that we worried to for a marathon, they seems to be able to have an answer for it, and it's just their habit of living is totally different to us. They're using, and they don't like adopt this. Their way of thinking is that I would tell them how easy to use the Google Pay, and we can just tap the phone. They say, no, why you need to use the phone to tap? You can just scan my QR code. So okay. So just so you understand, with the older subway entry, you are literally use your phone's QR code to entry, and that's how deep they have gone through with this app.
Wow.
Yeah, so they know where you are, what you're doing, and every single movement that you do. Yeah.
Yep.
And even where you're going for stores, or I guess they're tracking you like Google does too. So
yeah.
Wow.
So,
anyway,
and that's what I said to I had a haircut there, and then I had a chat with the hairdresser, and it was the same as them. They say, yeah, I'm sure they can track me, but they wouldn't use this technology to track me. There are so many people there. Why would they track me?
Yeah,
and that's right. Unless you're doing something wrong, there's no problem with it, really, is there?
So you briefly showed us the medal before. So just for our listeners who aren't on video, it comes in a little box. What's the medal like, I guess, inside the box?
The medal, so I think last year they used gold. This year they used, I thought it was silver, but they want to say this is platinum to symbolize they have achieved the platinum type of race in the world athlete. And inside the medal did say all the big major locations that have run through. And a symbol, they have a tagline, which is run for love, run for big, which is this year's tagline. And every year they do things to make it a little bit of difference to it. And all the things that you get from the expo was extremely cheap. So I remember I bought a German 50 years shirt for all my mates in Australia. It cost me about 50, 60 euro. But you can get it pretty much around $15 to $20 for any shirt.
Wow.
And they're all pretty good quality. Like this is the actual finish shirt that they have. Everything is Nike branded. So my partner was laughing because they say, oh, they're all made from China anyway.
That just cracked me up. Sorry, that's very funny.
So, but yes, they do made in China, and I go through with all my Nike sportswear. They're actually made in Vietnam. They're not making in China.
And it does look like the designs in Shanghai are a slightly different design to the ones we see at Chicago, Tim, from Nike.
Yes, definitely a nicer, cleaner logo, I think.
I did have my Chicago here. That was 2019, which is to get this straight. Yeah. Oh wow, this year.
Yeah. That one's the actual nice shirt. The other ones they had weren't that nice this year.
Yeah.
So for those that are listening, Dale is showing us his shirts and his medal, and they're actually in really good quality, like an amazing quality. beautiful designs on them. His medal is about the size of your palm of your hand. It's got a beautiful blue
Huge.
ribbon. The shirts
Heavy.
that he's got have got beautiful colours, nice designs.
And they're in English writing too.
Yeah. And it actually
yeah.
says marathon on the shirt. It's really, really nice.
So they don't do a version with Chinese writing or Chinese characters on it for the finisher shirts?
I actually found it's actually quite good without much Chinese, but I just see all the slogan, the tagline that Nike used on this marathon was pretty sarcastic. Was like, are you ready to get tortured? Like, why are you spending 265 days to get 1 day tortured? Something like this. I just have to use my translator to get the exact meaning, but that was pretty funny. All the Nike slogans.
They did that in Chicago
and New York this year as well. And some of them is like the road to hell is a lot easier than this, or something like that.
Yes. Yeah. So I guess that's a Nike thing.
It's so funny. Yeah, I do enjoy that one. So, I guess, Dale, what's next for you then? I know we've got Gold Coast coming up, but do you have something before then, or?
Well, so being 4-star finish, so they always send us the chasing the 2-star. You have 2 more stars to go. Here's the draw. Pretty much, I put in for both Boston and London. So Boston, I think I pretty much missed it. They announced last week, which I didn't get an email. I suppose I don't get in. And I guess for next week will be London announced. So hopefully, finger crossed, that will be my April run. Finger crossed.
Yep.
Yeah, so that will be my early first half of the year. And if not, I am actually looking into a one in Hawke's Bay in New Zealand.
Yes,
that one is looking very flat. So looking like a good course to run.
It's a stunning area of the world to be in as well. So I think you'll enjoy that one. It's pretty amazing because it's part of the runway series that they do for Noosa, Queenstown, and everything like that as well. So good choice.
Excellent.
A lot cheaper than London too. So don't be disappointed if you miss out. It's cheaper. Think of the money.
Yeah, but London's good. London
will love me more.
But obviously you're chasing your 6-star, which is awesome to hear. And I guess part of my thought process, Dale, is apart from those things that, fundamentally registration seems to be a challenge, and having to pay in the Chinese payment process, the inability to access too much information online for Western countries seems to be a challenge. Is there anything else that you think they've just got to lift to go to that next level, or was everything else in line with what you'd expect from a major?
Yes, Tony, you're spot on. Everything else seems to be done right, as long as you know the ins and outs of how this thing. They have done this, I think, 28 years, and Shanghai is, from what I heard, is the most popular marathon in China, and Beijing comes second. And there's the one they was gonna put in major candidate race was Chengdu, which has nowhere near the scope in Shanghai. They have done everything right, and by far they have all the right sponsor to make things happen. The government seems to the start line, they did try to make all this announcement. They to encourage the Chinese to have the best behavior, to showcase that we can do a major. So this is quite interesting.
Oh wow!
in Mandarin, but it was loud, and it's like, hey, let's show the world what we can do. Some sort of things like that.
Oh wow! Okay, so there's a certainly a feel that they are keen to become a major.
Oh yes, so, and they do invite all those top runners into the race, and happen to be a lot of big race. It's on the same day, 1st of December, and like Singapore Marathon was another big one in Asia, and they all happen to be on the same day. So it was quite amazing how they can pull
Yeah.
so many things in such a short time. Oh, well, they always know gonna happen, but how do they pull all these things? Oh, one thing I did heard from them, they say the street got much cleaner just this week before the race. They do have a lot of share bike, which they don't have a dedicated zone. There's a longer street, which always create a little bit hazard. They seem to be cleaning out and make sure they're organized.
Okay.
That's
So
good. That's a good thing. It's helping the city as well at the same time. So
yeah, 100%. Dal, thank you so much for joining us. It's been absolutely enlightening and I think very informative for us as well as all of our listeners. But before you go, every time we have a guest on our show, we like to do what I call the fast 6, which is 6 fast questions and then hopefully 6 quick answers. Now, you're lucky because 2025 is going to be the first year of 7 majors. It'll go to the fast 7 in 2025. So you may very well be the last person that does the fast 6. So are you ready to go?
Let's do it.
All right. Podcast or music?
Podcast.
Best running advice given to you?
Pace yourself.
What advice would you give to someone starting out?
Stop it.
Okay. Uphill or downhill?
Oh, downhill for sure.
Gels or blocks?
Gel.
And favorite shoes to run in?
Nike.
Okay. Any particular type of Nike? Is it?
Well, I run in the Alpha 3 seems to be record breaking, but if you give me a bit more time, I actually gonna change my answer to Essex.
Okay.
I just literally say anything that's come into my mind. So yes.
That's the plan. That's exactly what it's all about.
But, okay, so it's Essex, not Nike. Right. Okay. Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Dale. It has been amazing. But before we go, we always finish with a tip from Tim. So, Tim, what's your tip for the week?
My tip's very simple, Tony. This week, my tip is just to be adventurous and get out there, travel the world and go to those unknown places. And, you know, it may sound challenging to get to Shanghai, but then you listen to Dale and you hear the joy that he got out of the weekend and the run. And all those little things that may have been problematic, they'll disappear in the background over time and you'll be left with the happy memories. So don't be put off traveling to parts of the world that may seem difficult or hard to get to, or they may not have the right food or the right sort of accommodation or even language barriers. Just go out and try and run, because runners all around the world are all the same. We all have fun. We all get along. We all want to chat to one another, and it doesn't matter what language we're talking. We all have fun doing it. So be adventurous, get out, travel, and explore the world.
Excellent.
Love it, team.
If Lucia was here, you could tell that to her as well.
All right. So, Tara, what's on next week?
Excellent. So next week, we're actually going to have a bit of a different show. So we're not going to talk about our Abbott's World Major Marathons next week. We're going to have Steve Marsden join us. So Steve has been a regular at our park run in Brisbane, so Bunyaville. He is a park run ambassador. He's our run director or event director, and he loves to run the trails. So we're going to talk to him about his running journey, how he fits in his training for that, park run, and he owns his own business. So he's very, very busy and he travels a lot for that. So Steve is a good mate of Tim and I's, but he's an avid trail runner. So we're actually going to talk trail running next week and how to prepare for trail runs, the fueling, because it's different for trail running to road running, and that it's okay to walk up the hills. So as usual, it's going to be an absolutely fantastic episode, and it's one that you're not going to want to miss.
Excellent. Dale, it's been, as I said, a pleasure having you on the show. Can't wait to catch up again personally. So maybe at the Gold Coast, or if you're running the Brisbane half, or Sydney might be another option, or if you choose to do international, I'm running Amsterdam this next year, so it would be great to catch up. And if ever, I'm sure Tim and Tara, if ever they see you out and about, they'll say good day. And yeah, it was absolutely awesome. So let's wrap up the episode. Thanks again, Dale. I know it must have been a bit challenging just back in the country and coming on the podcast, but really enjoyed having you here. So it was great.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dale.
Yep. Thank you so much for having me.
And as always, I want to thank my marathon mates for joining in tonight. We've got a fair bit of fun that we have with our podcast, and we had a fair bit of fun on the weekend catching up for our marathon mates lunch. So that was perfect as always. But most importantly, we love recording these podcasts for you, our listeners, and we love hearing your feedback. And we've had a fair bit lately, so we're getting more and more feedback coming through, which we love. Even if you don't like a topic, we get a little bit of that every now and again too. So that's awesome. So it's good to hear, and it helps us produce what you want to hear. So drop us a message wherever you're listening to it, or check us out on our social media pages. And there's a link in the show notes which will take you to all of our social media and podcast pages, or you could just email us at happyrunning@flyingrunner.com. As usual, the episode's available on Spotify, YouTube, audios on Apple and Amazon, and just about every podcast platform out there. Remember, every step forward is a victory. Lace up, hit the road, and we're going to catch you on the very next episode of the Flying Runner podcast. Until then, happy running.
Happy running.
Happy running.
Thanks, Dave.